Hello and welcome. You are very welcome to Formula 2 back on the TTML channel. We'll get you up to speed with the drivers, the format, and all the wonderful rigmaroles that F2 offers. A different dynamic than what F1 offers. But to start off, my name is Graham, and joining me tonight it is Conti. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello, and yeah, well, thank you for letting me join you today.
No, absolutely. I don't think we've have we. I don't think we've actually done any comms together, have we? We've been running in the same circles for quite a while now, but I don't think I've done comms with you before, have I?
No, I don't believe we did. I heard you on comms a lot, but we never did it together, I believe.
I think I've commed your races and then you've commed my races, but we've never ended up kind of in between.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, happy to have you for this one. F2, a very different kind of challenge than F1. The format very different. We'll get into that. We'll get into that actually now because we're about to hop into the lobby. Basically, what will happen here? It's going to be one-shot qualifying. The top 10 of that one-shot qualifying is going to be reversed, which will set the grid then for the feature race. But for race one, the top 10 of one shot will be reversed. So who qualifies 10th will be first, and so on and so forth. So that is that's the general gist of the format. There are some other nuances of F2 that we'll bring up as they become relevant. But as we're about to load into the lobby here, maybe you'd like to take us through the driver lineup heading into this season.
Yeah, of course. Well, in the Prema we have Dylan and F1 David. In Virtuosi, FVR Francie and Casper Iverson. In Carlton, ESW Camrule and DRA Storm. Then in High Tech, a lonely driver doesn't have a teammate. So if you want to race here, there are still spots available. Tom LD. ART, we have TTG Neymar Mich and NSR Roy Gaert. In MP, TTG Kermit and Legend. In what is it? I can't read it.
Campos.
TTG Temo and their Tony. In Adams, it's Jamie and TTG Honey Badger, and then our last team, Cheru, is Ren's Race and Maximum Attack.
So that is our lineup. Yes, it's a few lonely drivers there, but. Anyways, that is a perfect time because we're about to hop into one-shot qualifying. Of course, the dynamic very different on these Formula 2 cars. Less gears, less downforce, more of a handful, I would say. What's been your experience as we watch the drivers come through on their one-shot qualifying? Been your take on the if you've driven Formula 2 cars?
Yeah, I've tried Formula 2 cars on this game, and I must say this game. With the curbs and all is a bit tricky, but especially the F2 cars are really tail happy on the brake, and so it's really difficult to control these cars and basically be fast with them, because you can really easily overcook a corner, go wide because you have less downforce, or just basically lose your rear end.
I've always found that your short shifting in these cars doesn't quite work as effectively as you would in F1 to nullify the wheel spin. I always found if you were short shifting, you were losing some time. The nature of these cars is just very different to what you'd be expecting, which is part and parcel of the challenge. Why drivers want to have a go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, short shifting. I always try to do it at the exit of a corner because, well, also. That's basically my inexperience as an F2 driver, as I see Dylan just overcooking the corner and going into the barrier there. But yeah, short shifting out of a corner can help you with stabilizing your backhand, but as these cars aren't as powerful as Formula 1 cars, yeah, you can lose a lot of time with it as well.
Go across the line, and TTG Honey Badger is going to be on pole for the feature race at 37.5, 2/10 clear of Casper Iverson. I think we've both raced this format in the past, and every time I feel like Honey Badger has always been a formidable force in these Formula 2 cars.
Yeah, definitely. Honey Badger always one of the faster guys in F2, but during the race he is tended to make some slip ups and well, lose his car, and yeah, qualifying always strong in the race. He mostly just struggles.
And of course, some points for pole position as under the format as well. But Honey Badger is on pole ahead of Casper Iverson, ahead of Yogi. TG Tamo then in fourth, Tom LD in fifth, Louis then in sixth, Legende seventh, Maximum Attack in eighth, Kermish ninth, and Jamie in 10th. And of course, the top 10 are going to be reversed for race one. So it's going to be Jamie ahead of Kermit then to begin race one.
Yeah, yeah, really excited. It's the first time I see I commentate in the league on F2 on this game. So yeah, really curious to see what these guys can pull off here today.
And I think one thing that helps in this format compared to F1, whereas if you have a tough race one, it's not all over. Like, of course, your grid position, obviously it could be no matter what your finishing position is here now, your grid position now set from qualifying. But it's nice knowing that, there is another opportunity if something does go wrong, or if you make a mistake in this first race.
Yeah, definitely. You always have the future race to bounce back if you make a slip up. The only thing that is, well, kind of a downside is that you're not driving as many laps as in a Formula One race. So if you make a mistake in one of the races, it's really hard to bounce back in the race itself.
Less time to bounce back. Well, everyone on the hard compound tires, of course, no pit stop in this first race. It is the feature race that will have the mandatory pit stop. So we're just running to the end. Of course, safety cars can come out, and of course you can, if you so inclined, can change your tires under a safety car. But of course, the time to do so is a lot more than it is on an F1 car.
Yeah, you don't have as many pit crew to help you out, so pit stops take a really, really long time. And if you damage your front wing, it's even more so because the guy changing your front wheels has to change your front wing as well.
Yeah, so a long process is made even longer. So everyone, especially nice heavy braking zone down into turn one. I think if everyone can keep hold of their front wing, that'll be certainly a decent start. I guess everyone will be feeling. Some people will be feeling out these cars for the first time. I think we could see a few errors. I wouldn't be at all surprised on this in this opening race here.
No, definitely not. A couple of guys probably still has to get used to these cars. I know there has been a pre-season race last week. I wasn't able to catch it, but so they have some experience. But yeah, nerves in the race coming up, so a mistake is easily made, as we see it's Jamie doing here while warming up his tires.
Yeah, a good time to do it, I suppose. He has bolted a long way in forward. Maximum Attack is really back in this pack up towards head down towards the last corner here. So Jamie's gonna be sitting a while on those hards, as well as Kermit. They've gone a long way forward, so they're gonna be sitting here for a while as the rest of the grid forms up. There's some incidents already abound in the back here.
Yeah, well, better to make them now in in this lap than in the race itself.
Absolutely. Long way down to turn one. Obviously, the brakes on these cars wouldn't be as sophisticated as F1 cars, so it's going to take a little bit longer to stop. Of course, they wouldn't reach the maximum speeds that the F1 cars would make as well, so a bit of give and take then. As we look down towards turn one, on board Maximum Attack. Third place, not a bad place to start here. Again, nice long run, and the slipstream can be a little bit more pronounced on these cars than in the F1 cars. So again, that's why you often hear people talk about F2 as a bit of a better spot for overtaking than F1. We'll see how that unfolds. We get 5 red lights and away we go. It's a good start for Maximum Attack. He's immediately past Kermit and in the slipstream of Jamie, heading down towards turn one. He's going to surely be in a great position to send one down the inside. He doesn't go defensive, this Jamie, and Maximum Attack, bit of contact down the inside, side by side. Jamie on the inside, Maximum Attack leaving him the space. They both get through, but of course the ascent up towards turn 4. Maximum Attack decide not to get within that slipstream, pulling in and out, but settles in as Jamie then holds the lead heading into turn 4.
Yeah, great start from Jamie there. He was really fast off the line there, and losing out massively is Kermit, who is in trouble, I believe, as well, down to 14th position now. So early on, Kermit not the start he really wanted today.
Maximum Attack was going down the inside and into turn number 9. Or turn 8 rather, excuse me. They're still side by side heading through the triple left-hander on the inside. Jamie, he's kept his car, he's just backed out of it, and he is now down to second place. We have a wobbly exit though, and Dylan had a little bit of an accident as well as Yogi, I believe, as well. So a couple of drivers finding their feet. Kermit as well, like you mentioned, as they head down towards turn 11 for the first time. Seems to be relatively drama-free down his bottom end. Tom from 10th place already made up his way up to 6th place. Oh, he's slowed a bit. He's actually slowed and let Tom go through. Not sure what happened there, if he just let him go, illegal overtake or something, but that is Tom LD up into 6th place.
Yeah, so good start from Honey Badger as well there, letting Tom by. As you said, I didn't catch that as well, but who also is making up some good plays here is Tamo, and I've driven against Tamo in F2. Tamo, another really fast guy in Formula 2 cars.
Honey Badger's had an off, I believe. Yes, Honey Badger's off at the last corner. They're almost going 3 wide, heading down towards turn 1. What a terrible camera angle this is. But it is Louis heading down the inside. Bit of a dive. He's kind of compromised Maximum Attack. Using Jamie on the outside, still leaves the space. And as Louis or Lewis, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, into the lead of the race, and a bit of a poor exit then for Jamie. That's allowed Tamo and Maximum Attack go through. Just a very poor exit, and he's got another car on Legende on his outside as well. And they all just about squeeze through. There's another car off. I think that's Dylan who's off as well, heading out of turn 3. So it's all happening, but a lot of chop and change happening at the front already.
Yeah, but I must say these guys, they don't give out a lot of room, but just enough to avoid contact. As Tamo going into the back of Maximum Attack. I hope his front wing isn't damaged there, but this also opens up, opens up the way for Jamie. I wanted to say, but
he's
carnage
off
in behind.
Lewis is off. I'm not sure what happened there. Just like it was like his wheel or something didn't want to turn. It was very very strange. You got Tom LD and Jamie side by side for P4. So all of a sudden Tom LD heading up towards P4. So Maximum Attack then is in the lead of this race. A very strange opening lap and a half here to begin proceedings here. But he's Maximum Attack ahead of Tamo. There's 1.2 seconds back to Legende, and then Tom, who's got Jamie behind him, who's got a penalty, and then. Again, you're going to have to forgive me on some of these pronunciations. You can maybe have to help me here. Is it Ace? I'm not quite sure, but he's just freeing up in 6th place.
Yeah, I think it's Ace. But look at Tamo. Tamo switching here on the straight, not taking any slipstream, already ahead, and I think he's running some low downforce there, because on the straight you don't have ERS here to help you out like in Formula 1. So this is all just. Running different wings here from Tamo, making that overtake.
Maximum Attack will have the DRS. This is now enabled on lap number 3 and heading up the hill. Again, no ERS like I say, but the DRS is going to be the most powerful ally, as Dylan is out of this race. I think he's retired in the pit lane, and no move made then for Maximum Attack. He stays behind Tamo then, but now the rest have been allowed to creep into that DRS range, heading down towards Jamie. He's just crept out of it. He's got Ace just behind him, and Honey Badger and Casper exchanging for 11th place. Gets on the curve there. Does Honey Badger almost getting a bit more skittish to these cars to the curves as well. So have to be very very careful to not, especially at Bahrain, of course. Some of these curves in this this part of the track certainly can catch you out.
Yeah, especially the first few corners there. If you take a curve wrong, you will definitely lose your back end, or even if you're unlucky, get stuck on a curve and you can't do anything there. But as it stands now, Tamo first place, Maximum Attack second, 4 tenths behind him, and Legend creeped back into his DRS there. So just holding on 9.5 tenths. So yeah, really good racing so far from these guys.
I think Jamie is struggling a bit here. He's almost 2 seconds back now of Tom, and what the other guys need to do, like the Francian curve, they can get within the DRS here of this group. It will help them just get back into the fray here a little bit, as Jamie is struggling. I'm not sure if he's got wing damage or whatever the case may be, but he's really struggling for pace, and he's going to be a sitting duck on the straight. Oh, Maximum Attack has had a spin. He's got wing damage. Left end play is missing, so again, driver is struggling with the traction here, and Jamie's not going to have DRS though, but a Maximum Attack will, but a lack of downforce, as you got Ace heading down the inside into turn 1. Again, there's a car with wing damage in front. Have to be very very careful to navigate, and they just about make it through, but a poor exit for Jamie. That's going to go up to pull alongside. I can see Ace then on Maximum Attack. I wonder if he'll know if he's got wing damage. Down the inside, is he given the space? He is. Oh, you can see that goal was just kind of left just a little stranded there, and that's allowed Jamie to come back at him. But can he make that move? No, he maintains that position, does Gull.
Yeah, so beautiful battling here, and yeah, Ace coming out as the winner. But maximum attack, even with that wing damage, you can see him struggling in the faster corners, but still he's holding out pretty strong here with that missing end plate.
Goes a bit deep there into turn 10. Especially that first sector, you'd feel it most of all on the wing. You would feel it most there. Not, of course, this part we don't picnic either, but you see Gull, or sorry, Guil, excuse me. Forgive me. You're gonna have to again.
It's Jamie down the inside of maximum attack there, almost going into the back of Gull as well. Still side by side, but he made the move here now, and he can focus on reeling in Gull now.
I was hesitating for a second because I just spotted the I in that name, so I don't know if it's a Geel or a Gull, but we'll stick with we'll figure it out. Big DRS train here though, massive from Ace downwards, of course, maximum attack here with his damaged wing in between, so there's a lot of positions up for grabs here and a few penalties in the mix here as well. The leaders kind of spread themselves out as maximum attack decides not to pit. He's going to try and limp on with this damage. It's going to be very interesting to see how cars navigate this. Of course, everyone's got DRS here. And a lot of back and forth on board France. He goes down the inside of one, maybe two cars heading into turn one. Can he hold it? That's a good overtake there, but he's got cars on his inside then. Exit, not the best compared to some of those. A bit of contact. Not a lot of quarter given, but they just about sneak through. It's side by side heading up the hill. And you've got other cars coming into the equation as well. Two Tridents, or sorry, two Charus cars switching places. Oh, what exit from Ren's race. He's gazumped three cars there out of nowhere. Oh, a bit of contact from Francine into the back of him, but somehow he's emerged into sixth place. That was a fantastic opportunistic overtake there.
Yeah, and I don't think he planned it, but guys in front of him were battling, and his space opened up, and he really nicely spotted that gap and just moved in. And now, as behind him they are still battling, he already is out of DRS range.
You can see the difference on traction some of these guys are having. Some people hitting the limiter, that really affects you in F2. Hitting that limiter, you'll see your acceleration dampened quite a bit quickly. You can see how much time, even out of that corner, Jamie made up on Francie there. As you got Kermit then next trying to get by maximum attack. Again, that wing damage through the section of track, you will feel it in particular. And he slides down the inside. Nice move then from Kermit. Actually, the gap at the front has come right down. Tamo is only 5/10 ahead of Legende then as they head down this main street once again. And if you can't get a move done into turn one, maybe you can size one heading up into turn 4.
Yeah, and now Honey Badger passing maximum attack as well, so that front wing damage really affects his speed. And now Honey Badger, as I don't have the best camera angle, passing or trying to pass, I wanted to say Mace, but his name's Kermit now. Still side by side here, outside line, sits in behind, but maybe is gonna try something here. Ooh, loses the car, spins off, and he is still alive, but that front wing needs to be replaced again.
This is the strangest camera angle I'm actually having if you see Honey Badger. I don't know who this aids, but anyways, the rest of the wing certainly gone now for maximum attack as Golden and Ace have been squabbling away. He goes down the inside into turn number 8 and they're still side by side heading up the hill. Yogi is off again further back and Ace then holding on. You can see Ren's racer then just patiently biding his time as he did to make a few other positions earlier on. The starting board goes absolutely into oblivion, but still within that DRS course with all this squabbling, it's separated the field a bit. Oh, using all the extremities of the track there. He goes around the outside into turn 11. Oh, it's been squeezed off a bit. That's going to let Ren's racer up the he's going to have the outside heading into the little shaky turn 12. He's got there on the outside of 1. Can he hold it? No, he's just pent up a bit, and that's going to allow the car of Gull then, using all the track limits available to them. This is great racing though. Extreme, but nice to see so many cars in close proximity. We're not even done yet, and at the front you can see it's only 0.3 of a second, so we have to hop up there in a second. It is all happening, and actually I'll just go up to the front here as Legende then going for the move on Tamos is for the lead of the race heading into turn 1. Again, he will have another chance with DRS heading up towards turn 3. Looks like an absolute squabble and a half back there. We'll stick with the battle. You can tell us about it in a second. Battle for the lead though. Side by side heading up the hill to turn 4 on the outside. Legende is this time. Tamo, can he use the inside to his advantage, or will the traction favour Legende on the exit? Tamo keeps the lead.
Yeah, great defending from Tamada. I was just sure he would have been overtaken in turn 1 there, but he held his own, fought Legende off. But I think this is just the start of a really beautiful battle that can last for, well, the remainder of these remaining 6 laps here.
Oh, Gull's had a bit of a moment there. He's actually managed to catch it heading down the hill towards turn. He did well to catch that, to be fair, but has allowed Ren's Racer to go through, and that is the Shrew sent up into 5th place. Tom LD is having a very quiet race in 3rd here, and in the end, 3 seconds behind the top 2. Of course, they'll be DRSing each other, and 5 seconds clear the squabbles behind. So he's kind of settled into his own little race here, into a podium. I'm sure he won't mind too much, but the battle for 4th still rages on.
Yeah, and I must say, Ren's Racer looking really strong here, trying to take a shallower line here, but that does give him the outside line, maybe a switchback. No, he just holds it around the outside, tries to go for the overtake, takes a little, IndyCar line there off track, but still side by side. No, has to slid in here behind Ace. So, yeah, another great battle here. And Gal now able to pass him because he couldn't make that overtake happen down the inside. Still here, Ren's Racer down the outside, around the outside. Can he hold on? They both have DRS here, or will have DRS, but
oh my goodness.
Gal in the slipstream here. Wow, look at the slipstream and DRS. Around the outside now of Aces, and almost going 3 wide now through these corners, but again, Gal, beautiful overtaking there.
Oh, he's kind of struggled to keep the back end in check though, and as a compromise he's running heading up towards turn 4. It's a very defensive driving from Gull. Same defensive driving we just saw from Tamo and Legende then. Similar kind of motion across, and they're still side by side heading through this middle. This is great racing here. Ace and Gull and Ren's Racer right behind this, and that's going to allow Francie to get into the fray here to that DRS. Again, you can see the understeer as they try and leave each other space, and that's a bit of a dive, and he should have that by Ren's Racer, and no surprise he's going to lose that position, but still maintains it ahead of Gull.
Yeah, this is just incredible to watch. It's so good. These guys battling, well, left, right, and center, but they are doing it in a nice way, not touching each other. Sometimes a little bit of wheel banging, but overall really nice and clean racing here from these guys, and they just keep on battling here.
It's such a nice dynamic to do with it, because you know the tyres are going to go to the end with you. Some side-by-side action here. It's Casper and Jamie. Jamie moves up into P8, and you can see Lewis here kind of get back into the fray. Then, of course, he spun from a high position earlier on. He's fighting his way back through, and all of a sudden, you know, 5th place, not a million miles away from him if he's got the pace and if he can overtake. But of course, with everyone in a bit of a DRS, and I won't say DRS train, because we've seen people kind of, you know, combat that, you know, have that DRS train so much. It's pass or be passed in many ways.
Yeah, it is, and look at this, Ren's Racer, Ace and Gal again going 3 wide here. Of course, Gal didn't have any DRS here, but he can bounce back at this next DRS straight. Aces, Ren's Racer, beautiful stuff these guys are pulling off here. Still side by side, Ren's Racer and Aces. In DRS, someone went off there, I believe.
Yeah, Francie's, I think, come together. Then he damaged his wing. And so other drivers been caught up as well, and I think, I don't know if that looked a little. I think Francie came together with Ren's Racer, and I think Francie may have retaliated. I'd need another look at it. He definitely didn't make much of an attempt to make the braking zone after that, but unfortunately, I think it's caught. I think Jamie may have been caught up in that as well. Certainly, some other drivers got involved after the in the aftermath of that little squabble there.
Yeah, Ren's Racer and IFR Ace touch each other, and that just caused chaos for the guys behind because they were all really packed together there. But yeah, now Casper Iverson on Gal. So Gal still up in that P5, but now under pressure of someone else, and haven't battled with him before. But Casper Iverson really wanting to put the pressure on there as he takes a really wide line.
I think it was a case for Francia that he got such an overspeed they didn't see him coming, and maybe accidentally came across into his wing, and it's kind of compromised a few people's races from here. See, Ace is down in 11th as well, so I think it may have been Ace actually. It's been a lot of chop and change. We're on lap 10 of 12. Tamo then, after some intense battling with Legende, we've seen some of it at the front anyways, he's managed to pull out a 1.1 second gap, so he's out of that DRS for now, and they've been going hammer and tongs back and forth, finally settled down for a little bit. There are some penalties begin to fly around though, and Casper Iverson, like you mentioned earlier, like he's in the fray here. 2 penalties in front, could easily find himself up into P4 here if he can hang on.
Yeah, he really needs to hang on. He's right on the bubble now with 9/10s wiggling around. But as Louis and Goul starting to battle here, maybe that can help him to stay within the DRS of these guys, and he doesn't have to overtake them because, as you said, with the penalty will be added up at the end of the race. He just can hop 2 positions.
Good people have come into the pits to replace Wings, Francie, Jamie being 2 of them. After that last lap, of course, Yogi's had his little problems as well. So you see from the interval how much a pit's time and a wing change does do in F2. Again, if it is the worst case scenario in many ways, because there's just little way back after an accident. So it is tough, but there's another race to make up for it. See how they get on in that one. But for now, lap 10 of 12, actually about to head on to lap 11 of 12. The leaders about to cross the finish line. Still a frenetic battle, as it has been for most of this race, to be honest, for these 4th, 5th, 6th positions.
Yeah, sometimes I didn't know where to look, but what I did spot is Legend coming back a little bit. He isn't in DRS range yet, but it's only a second or 1.1 seconds now, so I think he wants to give it his all in this final 1.5 laps here and maybe try to get back at Tamo.
Goes down the inside of Lewis into turn 1. Has on the outside, then leaves the space, tries to cut back in, which you can do in these cars. Of course, these are narrower, of course, so a little less space to leave, and he's timed that, I would say, beautifully. As you have the inside heading up towards turn 4, brakes a little bit earlier, and just uses the width of his car to keep Lewis at bay then, and that is goal up into P4 then. I feel like about 6 different drivers have been contending for this P4 spot. It has just been one of those. Goal has been in the thick for most of it. You can see Lewis and trying to fight back around the outside, but of course he will have DRS heading down this turn 10, 11 straight, and a couple more DRS zones to come still, so plenty of opportunity for Lewis to take back this position.
Yeah, and Casper still holding on there as Yogi puts in the fastest lap with a 1:39.6. But yeah, Casper just holding on there, and he has a gap of 1.6 seconds to Ren's Racer, so no pressure at all from the back. He can focus on the guys in front, and well, he's doing a fabulous job with it.
Absolutely. Very lonely race for Tom LD here. Just give him a quick mention in third. Just was clear of the carnage, and that's been enough. He was high enough when it started, and he's been able to keep himself clean since. So he's gonna have a very tidy podium here. He can just coast around, but the battle behind him is raging on. And Lewis does have 8 seconds worth of penalties for limits. I gotta say, so I think some people have been enrolled in the Michael Schumacher school of squeezing here. It has been, it has been interesting to watch. You can see the extremities of which Gull and Lewis are going back and forth, just jostling for that position. You can see down the inside goes the Prema on the Trident. Gull will have he's cut the corner trying to catch the back end. That won't help. There are positions to be lost behind to Casper, Ren's Racer, and Kermit still as we begin the final lap of this race. Gull has gone deep into turn 4, and Lewis should come back to it. Can Casper sneak through as well? No, not quite.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to. Why take any risks when the guy's in front of penalties? So I think he really doesn't want to go for the move there. As Tamo now, again, Gal and Louis switching, but a nice cutback there from Louis. Still side by side, but he doesn't have the straight line speed here, so he has to try something in this really difficult braking zone. And he does have the inside line, but a little cutback there from Gal. DRS opening up for Louis here, which really helps him. But look at this, even though he does have DRS, wow, there was an audacious move there from Gal, and he lost out because he braked a little bit too late. But Louis starts to struggle with his rear tires here.
The final corner comes Tamo. He's been back and forth, but at the checker flag, he is the one to take it first. He wins ahead of Legende then in second. Tom Melody will come across the line to finish there. We're going to go back to the battle for fourth on this this raging battle that's gone on for pretty much the entire race. It is Louis then he's going to go a little bit wide. He's going to take the position on goal, but it's going to be Casper is going to be the big winner, and he moves up to fourth place after all that penalty. After all those penalties were applied. Kermit then goes up to sixth place, so he kept it clean back there, and he got himself a sixth place finish. But that was a hell of a race for our first race of this Formula 2.0.
Yeah, it was, and I just thought Kermit had a lap 1, turn 1 incident. He was all the way at the back, but keeping it clean, he ended up in P6 here, so great job.
Absolutely. It just went to show how much time was lost squabbling there. With the gap between Tom and Caspar, shows the extremities of it, but some very fierce battling at the front of the grid, in the middle of it as well. It was a pretty heated affair at times. I do wonder how some of the drivers might feel after that session. Says you left the lobby, but
yeah, my game crashed. Great stuff.
Oh dear, wouldn't be. Of course, we were having so much fun that we forgot this is still a Codemasters game, and
yeah, this is just hard reality bouncing back.
You should be able to get back in, right?
I hope so. I'm gonna try to get back in.
Because I think this jumps immediately into. I try to think if this jumps immediately into the feature, or however this goes, but if not, we'll sort something out. Anywho, for the time being though, it is Tamo who finishes ahead of Legende then in second. Tom LD, a very quiet third place for him, and Casper then rising then from ninth on the grid. Of course, he'll be second for the feature race, so he showed some good pace. He's going to have a very good starting position as well for the feature race. Ren's Racer then, very entertaining race for him. He finishes in P5. Kermit then, obviously disappointed to drop down from second on the grid, but considering the race that was, I'm sure he'd be very happy to fight back for some good points in sixth place. Then Gull had, he was very much in the thick of it. He ended up in seventh place ahead of Louis then in eighth. Ace then also in the mix here very early on in ninth, and Maximum Attack, of course, who was also in the mix early on, finishing in 10th ahead of Yogi, Jamie, Francie, and then Honey Badger, who of course will be starting this feature race from pole position, and our
And that's your voice gone, so probably a empty controller, I'm guessing.
I knocked it out with my foot by accident. So anywho, of course the grid for this feature race not taken by the sprint race result is of course taken by the one-shot qualifying. Of course, a change that was made in F2 last year, and one that was quickly discarded. So we'll have the old format back for this for the game rather. But for now, anywho's a chance for drivers like Honey Badger to try and make amends after a pretty rough race one.
Yeah, really rough race one. He had, well, as I said before the start of the race, really rapid driver, but in the race he tends to make some mistakes. But now he can try from pole position, so hopefully he can stay out of trouble. And as I am back in the lobby, I hope I am not causing any trouble now.
We'll find out soon enough, I suppose. A couple of split strategies then across the grid. Quite a number of drivers taking to the medium tire, and some bold choices from Caspar and Tamo among a few up very high on the grid to take the slower hard compound tire. Of course, obviously they'll be able to run a little bit longer, and we'll see the alternate strategy. Obviously, it's some tracks work better than others, but honestly, given what we saw in the sprint race, with how much squabbling there may have been, it may be beneficial for some of those guys running on the harder tire to go longer. And if there are a lot of squabbles between those guys on mediums, could hold each other up. Maybe could be the advantage that swings towards the guys on the hards, and of course be on the softer compound for later in the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all down to the position you're in. If guys in front of you are battling and holding you up, you can try and go for an undercut. But if you're in front of these guys and they're battling behind, you can just go long on these hard tires and well, create some sort of a gap and go to the fast tires there. Because in the end, the softer tires will be faster, especially with the lighter cars.
Absolutely. Interested to see the likes of obviously Casper, Tamo, and more specifically Tamo and Louis here on the hards, because right around them there is from 7th down to 12th there are guys on medium compound tires, and the delta, generally speaking, between the two tires is usually quite high in F2, usually quite high. So early on we could see a lot of, if you're Tamo or Louis and Casper to an extent as well, it's about minimizing the pain and trying to maintain position as best you can for these first few laps here.
Yeah, you really need to get off the line quickly as well. Warm up those tires good, because well, it's hard to get them into a good window. And if you're off the line good, you're in no trouble at all. But yeah, if you get overtaken, especially Louis with all the medium runners behind him, if you get caught up there, you can lose out massively.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you bring a brilliant point. Obviously, your mediums are going to have the starts in F2 are drastically. If you can nail a good start, you're in a really good position here. And on a different tire, that tire difference is only exaggerated more on from the medium versus the hard compound tire. So it's going to be very interesting to see how some of these guys get off the line. We'll go on more briefly here with Yogi in third. He's on mediums. He's got a great chance to jump Casper, then see if anyone can trouble Honey Badger heading down towards turn 1. 5 red lights, and away we go. That's a good start for Casper on those hard compound tires. That's a very good start, as Yogi kind of swallowed there by Tamo and Tom LD as well as they head down towards turn 1. Little bit of contact was there by Casper and Honey Badger. They get through relatively cleanly down the field side by side. They seem to have got through nicely. See how to get through turn 3 and turn 4. Oh, Maximum Attack has lost the back end, and Tamo's off as well. He's had a spin. He just keeps it out of the barrier, so if he can get round going again, he'll be able to get back in contention later, possibly in the race. But at the front, clean stuff.
Yeah, Honey Badger really fast off the line, but especially Casper on these hard tires. Beautiful start of him, and keeping that position is going to be really beneficial. As you see Tamo losing out there in P15, he has to go longer now on these tires.
He's on the hard, so that will work for him, but he just kept it out of the barrier, so he's lost obviously a lot of ground, but not too much. It's about 6 seconds and he just gets by him. Oh, there's a bit of a spin. I think Ace may have lost a Kermit into the side of him. I'm not sure if he's got wing damage, but that was just at the turn 10 hairpin there. He did hit into that side of that car. I'm not sure if he got damage though. There's a bit of a squabble going on for. Oh, and Yogi's made contact and he's taken, and Dylan's gone with them. It was just the slightest bit of contact. The contact model just absolutely decimated the two of them, and they're both in the wall, and I'm pretty sure they both have wing damage too.
Yeah, I believe Yogi doesn't have a front wing at all now. But yeah, these guys really lucky not to lose a tire there or anything. They can still keep going and yeah, maybe hope for some battles in front and bounce back.
Absolutely. Again, the gaps here aren't too big. Again, if you've lost your wing, then it's a bit more difficult. But of course, there's a window where you can't pit until a certain lap in F2 because it doesn't count as your mandatory stop. So I'm not sure if they might choose to stay a bit longer. Yogi's coming in. He can't, obviously, if you've got no wing, then you can't. You have to come into the box. But it will not count as his mandatory stop. That comes later in the race. Some people don't know about F2. The biggest battle I could see here, there's a bit of squabble going on for P4 and for P6. You've got Jamie ahead of Francie and Legende then as well.
Yeah, and these guys are just doing what we saw last race, switching opposition as Ace is out.
Oh, he's lost it coming out in turn 4.
Yep. Went straight into the barrier there, losing the rear end, going into the barrier, and that's the end of the race for Ace.
That's unfortunate. He showed in the first race his pace and running high in the field. But he will go no further in this feature race, which is 16 laps long. You see Red's Racer having a look on Louis then heading into turn 11. Of course, no DRS yet. That will be activated on the next lap, but he had no worry. He had no issues getting through cleanly and clearly on Louis there heading into turn 11.
Yeah, Rens Racer looked fast in the sprint race, and it shows here as well. Beautiful overtake there. But further down back, P6, 7, and 8 are really squabbling it out. Now Legend almost pushing Francie through those corners here, putting the pressure on and just hoping for a mistake. But because on straight line speed, he just isn't fast enough to go for an overtake attempt.
DRS will be enabled this lap. Honey Badger says the fastest lap of the race of 40.7. He's 1.4 clear. The top four, or top three rather, are pretty in a bit of a safe margin. See if Louis comes back at Ren's Racer, not quite, and Legende can't quite. He's stuck his car down the inside. The space opened, and Francie left it open for him. The DRS will be enabled now. Who's going to have it? It is going to be they both have it, of course, because Jamie is just under a second in front. But can Francie take this back down the inside turn 4? Conservative on the brakes, back end, don't want to step out on him under braking there, and that forces him to cede the position then to Legende then.
Yeah, so again, beautiful overtake from Legenda. It was coming, well, 2 laps now, really putting on the pressure there. DRS helped him out, but now already you can see in the braking zones he's much faster than Jamie, so he has to be careful not to go into the back of Jamie there.
Being confident on the brakes in F2 is big, and he has gone into the back of him, as you say, and I did see a bit of wing fly off. He was so good on the brakes, he was too good, didn't anticipate Jamie to stop so soon. And he's lost a wing for it, and I wonder, he's on the medium tyre, so I wonder if he'll try and limp it out another lap or two and then replace it and minimise that loss rather than box and maybe have to do another mandatory stop.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how it is on this game, but last game, if you had a little bit of wing damage, it was okay. But maybe on this game, as we see on Formula 1 as well, the slightest damage just gives you so much less downforce in the front. So yeah, I hope he can limp it out, but I think we're going to be seeing him pitting as he still tries to go for an overtake here on his Jamie, even with that broken front wing, strong on in the braking zone.
And Jamie comes into the pit with a probably illegal entry and speeds into the pit lane in the process. Meanwhile, you can see that you're encountering the lap track of a Yogi here, who has just come out of the pits, and he duly gets out of the way. These two, Legende and Francie, going back and forth. There's another yellow flag. I think that's just him getting out of the way. Heading up the hill, of course, Legende has DRS from Yogi, so that has saved him at least this lap for 6th place. The top 5 have spread themselves out a little bit, so this is kind of our only real battle on track at the moment before some more pit stops come into the fray.
Yeah, but I must say, Rens Racer is looking fast. He closed that gap down from 2 seconds, only 8/10 now, so he is in DRS range of Tom, who had a really lonely sprint race. But in this future race, I think he's going to be have to fight his way to the podium here.
Yeah, because he might see a few more cars than just his own this time around, but he's got a 1.3 second buffer. It wasn't the greatest exit for Rens Racer heading out of that turn 10. You can hear the car clunking away, struggling. So he's got a bit of a buffer for now. That threat of DRS isn't quite with him. Of course, so powerful around here with the 3 zones. Yellow flags scattered about the place. I think that's Kermit who's had them off at turn 4. Going very wide there as that kind of goes into the fray here in this battle for P6 as well.
Yeah, so it's a Legend, Francie and Goal, but look at this. Goal has to be careful not to make the same mistake as, what was it again? To go into the back of Francie there, because he is really close in the braking zones as well.
And doors open for him, for Francie. I think it's Legende's got the damage, hasn't he? So he's holding on very well here. It was him with the damage, wasn't it? Yes, the end play, the right end play is missing. So he's holding on very well here, but he might find himself taken by 2 guys. Another bit of wing has gone absolutely to oblivion. I think that was Gull. So he's got now wing damage as well, and he's on hards. That's the tricky part now for him. He's got hards, and side by side through this section, so hard to fight with wing damage, and they both managed to get through. They both have wing damage, and that is Francie up into P6 then.
Yeah, so Francie just needs to fly away now and create a gap between him and Legend and Goal, because these guys both have wing damage, and as you said, really, if you're on the hard tires now, he has to just keep on these tires for a couple of laps. But to be honest, I'm not sure how the medium tires hold out on this on the Formula 2 cars.
Of course, the F2 series super softs as well at some tracks as well, so compounds are a little bit different. Gotta be honest, I'm thinking Casper's in a very nice spot here. He's only 2.7 seconds behind Honey Badger on the hard compound tyre as well. So certainly worth watching him later in the race when he switches to the softer rubber. That's Yogi out of the race from P13, he's a lap down. So we've lost a few people sped into the pit lane, or sorry, rather Thomas sped into the pit lane. That's going to be a critical 5 seconds for him. Ren's Racer pits as well as Legende then with that wing damage coming back at Francie, then heading into turn 1. It's going to commit to the outside. Again, space is left. Got a bit of sharper angle for turn 2, but positions his car not too bad. But Legende heading up the hill. He's not got DRS. Legende's the one with DRS. Interesting enough, and Gull fancying a move here as well. He cut in. Oh, bit of contact from front to rear. Francie's gone around. Has he? He's managed to hold it, but he's lost the position to Gull, who's side by. No, he just backs out against Legende.
Yeah, he did. Gull, beautiful overtake there. He needed to make that also, just like Legende, front wing damage. So Francie, who I believe still has a intact front wing, losing out massively there along these guys, but during the pit stop they will be replacing their wing probably, so he will be way ahead of these guys after the pit stop.
Gull, bit of a problem on the braking heading into towards turn 9, compromised him, lost position to Francie then, who takes that place back then. So again, a lot of chop and change for this. Is this P4 spot? It's a magnet for activity. Be interesting now there's like there's Tom and Ren's Racer have pitted onto the hards. Be interested to see when Honey Badger and Legende, and Honey Badger is committing, he is boxing this lap. So Casper then is released, and I assume Legende, this is the lap he's been waiting for to come into the box. His pace is like he's not a million miles away from Louis here, but of course he is on the harder compound tyre, and he does indeed come into the box, and he can replace that front wing.
Yeah, and I must say, even with the front wing damage, his pace was really strong. So I'm curious to see what he can do on these hard tires with a new front wing.
That is indeed going on. So he'll lose a bit of time, see where he pops out. Meanwhile, Francie lost the back end. Did he manage to keep it? Ooh. No, he's gone round. I think he's managed to avoid wing damage, but you should see the slow fight for traction heading out of turn 3, and he's gone round, but he is still got a front wing on the hard, so he can still carry on. Just need to get that car back under him. Honey Badger emerged in 6th place there in clean air critically, so he's done some big laps for Honey Badger on these fresh hards, while Casper is on those more worn hards still.
Yeah, I believe the gap was only between 2.5 and 3 seconds, so he really needs to put the hammer down here and create that space he needs, because seeing Casper's speed on these hard tires, he is going to be way faster on those mediums.
Yeah, certainly will be. So, interested to see when he pits, how long he feels those tires can hang in for to maximise their pace advantage. But he did show good pace on those hards, and Honey Badger, the best thing for him was to come out in the space that he did. He's got 7 seconds of clear air to push into, and even with Francie on those on those tires that had just come out of a spin, still plenty of space. So Honey Badger not pent up by any cars on older tires. He's free to push into that air. I mean, you can push on these tires. We saw them obviously do a full race just moments ago, so they will go with you, but it's whether it's their comparison to the mediums at the end of the race will be interesting to see how much of a buffer Honey Badger can build now.
Definitely, and after the pit stop session, Ren's Racer is within DRS range of Tom, so curious to see how this one will play out and how fast he is with the DRS. You can see him closing in 4/10, 3/10. There is, after these 2 corners, there is another DRS zone, so probably he will try to make a move there.
He's about 3/10 back, and clean run for Tom heading up towards turn 4, so be untroubled this time round. But these two were not separated by a ton of time in the first stint, and obviously Ren's Racer has to claw back within DRS. We got Tamo and Gull rather side by side. This is for position. They have yet to box. So this is for P3 for the time being, but this will be a net P5, 4, 5, 6 kind of range. But Tamo gets through on Golden, who does have that penalty to contend with, but it's not going to stop him from fighting back on Tamo, taking that place back, and he's moves back up into P3.
Yeah, and as it is for positions, he is entitled to as well. But seeing Goal with that front wing damage, really good holding Tamo up there and fighting his way back in front of him again. But after these couple of corners here, we going a bit wide there. Tamo taking a narrower line there and has the DRS now. So probably we're gonna see Tamo making a easy overtake here on the DRS straight. He's in front of him. Gal didn't want to fight, didn't want to lose any time there, holding him up. So yeah, great stuff.
Ren's Racer then very much in the fray here on Tom. He's so close, heading onto the back onto this main straight as Honey Badger sets the fast lap of the race. He's doing what he needs to do. This is a battle for I think net P4. I believe these two are running close around that area, but Ren's Racer then, it's been building, you'd have to say, and he's finally through on Tom. And now we'll see what the pace difference is like. If Tom can keep within that DRS, he needs to, because he has got a penalty, a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane to contend with as well.
Oh, almost a crucial mistake there of Jamie. Maximum Attack and Jamie were battling, and Jamie wanted to switch to another line, but Maximum Attack went into the pit, so almost coming together there, these two drivers.
I think he's coming onto the medium compound tires. It didn't look like a wing change was going on there, so but possibly could be damaged and didn't want to replace it. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. The gap between Caspar and Honey Badger is 27 seconds, so obviously Honey Badger will come out clear, but obviously it's to, Caspar's got to get the hammer down. Be interested to see where he comes out. If Casper will come out in traffic on his mediums, obviously he will have the pace advantage to fight anyone he may emerge behind, but obviously still not ideal to lose that time as someone else who started on the hards, speaking of Louis, is into the pits then on his hards on lap number 9 for him.
Yeah, as a Goal pits as well, but picks up a 5-second time penalty as well. And Tamo still going on. Casper and Tamo probably, I'm guessing, are gonna come in this lap and want to make the most of those medium tires.
You'd imagine this is the lap they'll come in. There'll be 5 laps to clear the one they're on, I believe, as Tom going back for this move then on Ren's Racer. You can see Louis then just emerge behind. This is not ideal for him to be behind squabbling drivers on hard compound tires that are going to the end of the race, as Tom LD then takes back that place off of Ren's Racer.
Yeah, so great fighting there as well, as Francie and Gal now coming out of the pits. And Francie not too far off of Legend, who won't be pitting again on those harder tires. So and the gap between Louis and Legend is 16 seconds. So they have to really put in something special to close up that gap. But Francie probably is going to be able to pick up that P7 there.
We'll see how quickly he can make his way into that 3-second gap. Might be an indication of what Casper can maybe do. He should come out ahead of this squabble here for 4th, and I thought I had a heart attack for a second. I thought I saw someone had an accident on heading out of turn number 13. I think it's the other, must be one of the back markers, but Casper is in then onto his mediums. We'll see how far Honey Badger emerges ahead of him. Tamo pits as well.
Oh, that's funny. On the left rear of Casper, it showed on my end he only got a rim without a tire.
Another fastest lap for Honey Badger, 40.1. He's been pumping these in. And where will... It looks like a pretty sizable gap. Only Casper is coming out of the pits now. So, I'll tell you, Casper doesn't have a ton of laps here to get into this gap. And it looks like it's going to be about 6.5 seconds, 6.1, stabilizing. We'll see how it gets on. Ren's Racer, a bit of a dive then on Tom, but obviously a move... Yeah, they have to make, because here comes Louis then on his mediums, already into the fray here again. What he's fighting for is a podium essentially now, or has come down to. So a podium up for grabs here if he can maintain it. I've just seen Casper must have got a 5-second penalty for seeing into the pits or something, because he's got 5 seconds added to his time here. So, oh, and Louis get onto the curb, almost lost the car, but maintains control. He's going to send one on to Tommy. He's going to send one down the inside, and he should have the traction on mediums then to see this one through.
Yeah, he does, and he left the space on the outside as well, not pushing anyone wide there. So beautiful overtake, and you can really see the difference in the hard and medium tires there on grip in the braking zone and acceleration zone there. Mid corner, it's just beautiful to see, as I believe Goal is in trouble and is without a, well, basically right wing end plate.
Louis then using his traction to power through on Ren's race then into P3, and I'll tell you what, he's going to hunt for a podium here. Oh, as Ren is going to come back at him. If he can get ahead of this quickly and cease this squabbling, with Casper's 5-second penalty, maybe even P2 is up for grabs here. And tactically, you can see Louis then holding it in 5th, revving and not wanting to overtake to save himself the DRS for this main straight here.
Yeah, as Honey Badger puts in another fastest lap, so oh, and Louis again coming back there in the DRS zone, but he can be in trouble as now the guys behind him, Rens Racer and Tom, both have DRS on him, so yeah, probably gonna have to fight his way through, but he has a really good exit there, taking some crucial time in front of Rens Racer and Tom here. So are they able to make it? No, they're not. He is well out in front, and now he needs to build up that gap there.
Unless that speeding penalty for Casper was for, you know, like it was incorrectly given to him, that has very much scuppered his chances to win this race, because he's getting into the gap pretty quickly. He's already half a second on this lap alone. We'll see what lap time he can produce, but with that 5-second penalty, he's going to have to obviously clear Honey Badger and extend the gap, and one might be likely, but both instances less likely.
Yeah, it is, and maybe, well, we'll see now what the pace of Louis is as he is released, but he also is on the bubble of the 5 seconds, so, well, is he fast enough to keep within? For now, he's falling back a little bit, but we'll have to see in a couple of laps with, well, one lap all the tires as well.
Of course, worth pointing out as well that with Honey Badger knowing that Casper's got a penalty, he doesn't have to push, so worth considering that maybe some of that time he's losing could just be attributed to Honey Badger just taking things a little bit easy, because he knows he's got the gap that he needs. 39.6 is only 3/10 or so quicker than Honey Badger's best lap time, so not as much difference that Casper would have been hoping for on those mediums. We'll see if they've any more to give, but comparatively speaking, that's not a massive difference between him and Honey Badger's fastest lap.
No, definitely not enough for this remaining 4 laps to close that gap, and his 5-second time penalty as well. So Honey Badger can just, well, casually cruise maybe is a bit too much, but he doesn't have to push as hard and maybe make a mistake.
I think he's made a mistake somewhere, Casper, because it's Louis who's done the fastest lap here, 39.3, and did take about half a second or so. He was, but we were talking just a moment ago, he was 5 seconds behind, and that gap was like 4.5, 4.6 heading down that straight, so possibly more to give then for Casper, but the gap to Honey Badger is still about 5.5 seconds. He's not making any inroads on it, and of course these mediums aren't getting any better as they go on.
No, they're not, and these hard tires, we saw them doing 12 laps on them in a sprint race, just really durable and stable, not the fastest, but durable tires here, so his lap times won't be coming down as fast as the lap times of these guys on the medium tires.
So I think we can maybe discount victory then for Casper, but he's certainly on the cusp of keeping second here. It's very tight, so I have to work to try, and again, it's just that tenth and a half, 2 tenths that he needs on Louis, who of course is on the same tyre as him, although be it one lap older. So we'll see if that has any bearing as we tick down to the final 3 laps of the race.
Yeah, maybe on the last lap, but he is holding on pretty good here, not going up or down too much. He is clear of Rens Race now, who isn't in his DRS anymore, so the only thing Casper now is hoping for, that maybe he makes a little mistake and Rens Racer can come back and battle, because that would well, just cost Louis a lot of time.
Of course, with you could have Casper pushing to try and get that 5 seconds and make a mistake that way. You could have Ren's Race then. Oh, and Ren's Race has gone into the barrier. He has pushing after that range. He's gone into the barrier. It doesn't look like he's got damage, which is absolutely remarkable. I'm looking at that front wing. It looks fine.
Yeah, it's still intact as far as I can see.
It wasn't just my imagination. He definitely hit into that barrier, so I have no idea what hacks he's deployed to keep that front wing on him. But well, Tom LD is through into 4th place then, but he still has 5 seconds as well. So Ren's Race then, his position, he could, that spin may not matter too much, but what might matter more now, we'll see what his pace is like. Tamo 3 seconds behind with just under 3 laps to go. I wonder if there's an opportunity there, but of course Tamo's got a penalty as well.
Yeah, also a 5-second time penalty, so he needs to win 8 seconds over Ren's Racer in the remaining 2.5 laps here. So I know Tamo's fast, but I don't think he's fast enough for that. But what it did do, he may be jumping Tom on penalties, but he can't put the pressure on Louis. So and Louis is now 5.1 seconds behind Casper. So yeah, Casper has to do it alone now and keep him out of that 5-second window.
He's doing well so far, but of course, what I was going to say for Ren's Racer was he's going to push, and he could make a mistake that way, and sure enough, he did. But it might not cost him too much in the end. He's still in that range of Tom, and there may still. I saw Louis going very wide at the last corner there, so there maybe could still be something in the offing here, for Casper to keep his P2 if Louis makes a mistake or gets a track limits warning. He seems to have stabilised, to be fair, this lap. That gap is a bit more comfortable now, 5.3, 5.4.
Yeah, it is, and I must say, I thought the gap between the hards and the mediums would have been bigger, but I don't think the gap, the difference in speed and time is that big between the hards and the mediums here.
Yeah, it feels like the alternate strategy hasn't quite worked out in terms of challenging for the win. Again, you get this in F2, like in real life F2 as well. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't quite work, and the gap is certainly bigger now than it was when Casper was running on those hards. So the hard certainly a more durable, more reliable tire. And even though, I mean, Honey Badger's just popped in a 39.4, which is the same time as what Casper has done. He improved his time on his mediums, 39.4 himself, just a few hundreds quicker. And Louis' fastest lap is 39.3, so it just shows you the pace and the confidence that Honey Badger has on those hard compound tires, even, well into their lifespan.
Yeah, but well into their lifespan, it's 8 laps, and they already did 12 on them. But it's the final lap, so he can ease down now. Doesn't have to go for the fast lap, but knowing how Honey Badger as he is, he wants to get everything out of a race that is just possible. But yeah, so far I must say, unlucky sprint race. Future race, didn't set a foot wrong.
Yeah, very much in control proceedings, and obviously Caspar sped into the pit lane, then obviously his job was made pretty simple from there on out, and he pumped in some, obviously we saw them as he pumped them in, but pumped in some critical laps on some of those opening exchanges on those hards, and responded in every way he had to.
Yeah, definitely. And look at that gap now between Casper and Louis. It was 5.5 seconds. It's 6.6 now. So that 1 lap difference did cost Louis in the end here. And Casper spinning into the pits, but besides that, did a really decent race here.
Honey Badger crosses the line, a flawless feature race victory. So well done to him. Casper then is going to cross the line in second. Ultimately, his penalty did not matter in terms of the race win. The pace just wasn't there in the second phase. Louis then will cross the line in third, and Tom LD will cross the line in fourth, but will lose that position then to Ren's Racer. And will Tamo jump him as well? No, of course, because Tamo's got his penalty to serve as well. So Tamo finishes in sixth behind Tom LD. Then the Legend, a bit of a quiet one for him. Certainly the second part anyways. Of course, the guys with wing damage kind of dropped out of the fray a bit here. Legende will finish 7th, and then we got a bit of a way back to Kermit, Maximum Attack, and Francie, who's just starting. Oh, sorry, Francie's finished. It was just Maximum Attack left to, and Kermit to cross the line.
Yeah, so Kermit really quiet race here. Not sure what happened with him, that the gap was so big, but yeah, again he did finish the race in P8, so picks up some crucible points here as well.
Comes across the line. He was running in a good spot, I think, in one of the races as well, and obviously hit into one of the sides of the cars into turn 10. Obviously compromised him quite a bit then, but he finishes in 8th, so yeah, like you say, some points for him regardless. And Maximum Attack then will be our last finisher on mediums. Obviously had some good pace at the beginning of race 1, but seems like like more than a few drivers, obviously finding the consistency in these cars and the stability has proved quite challenging.
Yeah, and speaking out of experience, it is quite challenging.
Yes. So you'll come across the line then to round up, very, generally speaking, a very entertaining opening round. And look, it always is at Bahrain. You always do get some action here, no matter what formula you're in. But certainly F2, I think you could see how much easier it was for drivers to fight and overtake. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen battles all over today in the future race, in the sprint race. So yeah, I must say I expected a lot, but this exceeds my expectations.
Yeah, that first race was chaotic to say the least. Settled down a little bit then, as kind of the true pace order was set for the feature race. So a little less chaotic than obviously some of the quicker drivers coming through. And obviously we saw a lot of squabbling in that first race, but that is the nature of Formula 2. That's the kind of carnage it can produce, and well, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Formula 2. But yeah, that was the race, and Honey Badger with a beautiful victory today. Casper finishing in P2, Louis P3, Rens Racer ending his race in P4, Tom P5, TTG Tamo in P6. Legend in P7, Kermit P8, Maximum Attack in P9, and Francie ended up in P10, and then Gal, Jamie, Yogi, Dylan, and Ace all DNF today.
So some strong results there for Legende, who finished in the top 5 in both the sprint and the feature race. Tamo had some good results as well. So he did pretty well on the weekend as a whole. Obviously, Honey Badger taking the lion's share of the points for the obviously his pole position and flawless race victory. But that is going to do it, I reckon, for round 1 of Formula 2.0. Next week is Spain, Circuit of Catalunya, and again, what normally would be a track difficult for overtaking in F2, any track is fair game for overtaking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the cars aren't as wide as Formula 1 cars. You don't have all the assistance of ERS. You, of course, have DRS. So, yeah, F2, always some great battles. And especially in the sprint race, as we saw, because you have the reverse grid.
Absolutely. So, that should be fun. But unless there's anything you'd like to add from tonight's race, I think that'll just about do it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm curious about is your driver of the day.
Ooh. Do we go on feature race or do we go on the whole, or?
Yeah, I think the whole.
Because obviously you'd have Honey Badger for the feature race, but of course he was absolutely nowhere for race 1. So I guess if you were to take both races into account, I think Casper did a very solid job those 2 races, 2 good results. But then Honey Badger was so good that feature race. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I was actually hoping you would say Casper, because I think over seeing 2 races, I think Casper deserved being the driver of the day here. Apart from Honey Badger, like you pointed out, doing a fabulous job in the future race.
I'm happy to go with that. Yeah, I'm more than happy to do a Casper. It's a shame the Alpha strategy didn't quite work out for him in the feature race, but he converted P2 to P2, which in any league race for Formula 1 or Formula 2, not always straightforward. So.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, at least he tried something different.
Right, absolutely. Be interested to see what kind of seeds are sown, I guess, when drivers come to future race strategies, having, especially here, not, seeing that the alternate strategy didn't quite work out uh, compared to the medium to hard.
Yeah, and we will find out in the future if that's track dependent or if that's just the nature of these Formula 2 cars.
Absolutely, we shall see. But that's all to come. But our thanks for joining us tonight. It was. I hope you enjoyed it because I certainly did. I'm sure you certainly did too. So more of that to come here on the channel. And again, 8 p.m. on a Saturday. So if you want to see again guaranteed action, I'd go ahead and say guaranteed action.
Yeah, especially sprint race.
Absolutely. So for myself and Conti, thanks for joining us, and until next time.